position the camera in such a way should be a little bit better. And I understand that my exercise equipment might be a little distracting for the videos, but I'm a mom of 4 kids. I am so busy. I have basically the time that I use for myself. During the morning is for me to get ready, to do my hair, my makeup, my clothes, my outfit, whatever. And then, and then the rest I devote to, doing things for the kids. But I always have to have my 30 minutes in the morning where I can brush my teeth, wash my face, and feel like a human being within the first 30 minutes of waking up. I need that time. And then when I have a little downtime, I'll end up doing some exercise. So making a video and posting it fresh on the internet, like editing it and creating cover art for a video is time consuming. And right now in my life, I'm not wanting to dedicate a whole 2 hours on something when I can barely get, let's see if I can, oh, there we go. Was I sideways the whole time? I can barely get, I can barely get 2 hours for myself. So that's why I'm doing things live. But I wanted to also continue on my unforgettable misadventures of traveling to Europe. So this was in the year 2006. If you didn't watch part 1, make sure to watch part 1. But I was just thinking about this trip, and this trip comes up quite often because it was probably the worst trip of my life with my family that I was raised in, and I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe my entire childhood with these people. And then I went to Europe and was almost stranded in Europe all by myself. And it would have made perfect sense. Looking back at it now, it all makes perfect sense why it occurred. I wanted to go in some more detail about how I was almost left. So we were, again, remember, we're in Germany waiting for my passport to arrive. And I had spoken to my dad, and my dad had told me that someone at the front desk confirmed that a member of our party, a gentleman, dropped off my passport at the front desk. Who was that? I still don't have the exact answer. Of course, we'll never know, but I have high suspicions as to who it was. Why was my passport dropped off at the front desk? Well, I'm not really sure what happened between the moment I asked my sibling if he had my passport. So we had put both of our passports. We were sharing a room in Switzerland, and we put our passports in the same room safe. And this was the second time that we had to share a room while we were in Europe, because all of the other hotels that we stayed in when we went traveling around Europe, I was sleeping in the same bedroom with my parents, my mom and my dad, and then me. And my dad snores, so I couldn't sleep that entire vacation, just hopping trains and planes and automobiles through different countries. was so tiring because I had zero sleep. Maybe that was preparing me for motherhood. Maybe it was, because I couldn't sleep the whole time. My dad snores so loud, and every time he would snore, I would have to shout out something in the room, and my mom would elbow him to stop snoring. Anyways, it was miserable. It was miserable. But anyways, I had asked my sibling if they had removed both of our passports that were sitting in the hotel room safe from it, because it was wide open. I remember checking the room over and over for anything left in the outlets, anything left in the safe, the coffee table. I'm like kind of OCD about it, so I'll go and recheck the spots around the room before leaving, because there have been times where I've left things in hotel rooms, not during that trip, but you know, even me now during my mom life, how many times I've left a child's, I don't know, sippy cup in a hotel room. So anyways, this was back in 2006. So anyways, we're looking around for everything that we need before we leave, and I'm looking, and I remember asking my sibling, did you remove the passports from the safe? He said yes, but I never asked if I may have it. I just figured since we were rushing, it was a very rush type of trip, that there was no need for me to ask him if he has it, because I checked the safe like 5 times. It was right by the door, you know, I looked at it again, there's nothing in there, felt, you know. Being on that trip taught me how to live out of a suitcase for 2 weeks, and how to survive off of like 1 hour of sleep every single night. So sometimes when we're on those bus rides or train rides to the next country, I would try and get some sleep, but it was even hard to sleep on public transportation. So it was a miserable trip. That half of it I spent tired and uncomfortable, and the other half it was nice to see the different countries, but I didn't know I was donor conceived at the time, and I really feel that my parents probably thought to themselves, well, since we're not going to tell her that she was conceived from a sperm donor, we'll just take her to all of the countries that her sperm donor is from, and that will be the constellation prize. That's what I think. Not saying that's, you know, that's what happened, but allegedly I do think that like they thought that by planning this family trip to Europe, they were doing a good deed. Instead of telling me the truth, they would take me to Europe. And you can't fight me and tell me that it's just coincidence. No, my parents planned this trip to Europe like really quick. What was that? Super fast on me. And you know, I don't know what's going on. Oh, even, and I think it might just be my phone on this vacation. And the way that they packaged it and described it to me, right? They made it sound like, oh, it'll be this great trip, and we're gonna have our family friends come along with us, who were my parents' friends, and they all paid their way to go on this expensive Europe tour. Once in a lifetime experience that you should come and do with us. And so I agreed. Because I thought the way my parents love is very conditional, and they were generous enough for me to go on this vacation. And I thought to myself, well, that would be silly of me to say no. Really, it would be. And yeah, I was too blind, honestly, to say no, and I was very afraid in general of my parents, and I am a people pleaser, and I try not to be. I try my best not to be anymore now that I'm growing and learning and healing. So anywho, I asked my sibling, and I asked him if he had the passports, but I never asked him, can I see them or can I have mine? We were rushing to our next place on the itinerary. Could have been like the train station, I don't know, bus, plane, whatever. And we left to the next location. Oh, to Germany, I'm sorry. And, oh, hey, Steph, do you have your passport? Oh, let me ask my brother. Oh, he doesn't have it. But then it was later disclosed to me by my dad that somebody dropped off my passport at the front desk in Zurich. And I don't know what the description of the person is. I didn't have that information, so I believe I asked my dad something like, do they know what this person looked like? And he just told me, I don't know, like. So it's possible. Here are some possible scenarios as to how my passport could have gotten left in Zurich, Switzerland, at the hotel we stayed at. Perhaps one of the maids found it on the floor and turned it in to the front desk. Something like that. So, I try not to, I'm not blaming because I was not there to have seen how my passport ended up at the front desk, but a guest turned it in and we were waiting for my passport. And what was also very scary was that since I didn't have my passport, my family was discussing right in front of me what to do. And one of my family members said to us in the room, well, she's an adult. She's over the age of 18, and she left her passport in a different country. Why is it our fault that we take responsibility and have to change our plans and miss our flight home for her and her mistake? She's an adult. She needs to take responsibility. Leave her here in Germany. There was also discussion of one of the members of the family to take the train back to Zurich and pick it up from the front desk, from the hotel, physically, and then come back by train, which actually would have been faster than waiting several days in Germany for the postal service to deliver it to the hotel in Germany. So that was very confusing. It was a very confusing time. I didn't have much input with my family, so it didn't make any difference whether I said, hey, I'll just stay in Germany. So anyway, I was hoping that we would all end up, as a family, since this was a family vacation that I was being dragged to, that my entire family would care about me and my passport being left in another country that wasn't even my fault. I was very, very careful not to leave my passport in any of the hotel rooms, but it was towards the end of the trip that I trusted that my sibling took it out of the safe. And ironically, my own dad confessed that the person who dropped it off at the front desk in Zurich, Switzerland, was a guest from our party, because it was a party of, 2, 4, 6, 8, like 10 of us. It was a party of 10 of us. Remember, it's my family, my mom, my dad, my sibling, and then other family friends. So it could have been anyone. Could have been anyone from our party who dropped it off at the front desk. And the front desk people, from what my dad had told me, Peter, is that, allegedly they thought that was very odd, like that somebody just dropped it off at the front desk, and that's why they, anyways. We can't go back in time now and fix that problem and investigate more, but it just proves to me how unsafe I was in my family. There was so much competition between my sibling and I still don't have my parents' love. So I don't know why my sibling doesn't like me. I don't know why. I think it's definitely money. It's greed and money that causes my family members to behave in such a way that is harmful and not safe. So I have to make the decision. I never felt safe growing up with them. Why am I going to submit my children to being put in harm of these people that never gave me safety? They never gave me safety, and I'm expecting them to keep my children safe. My job in life is to keep my children safe. And if I couldn't keep myself safe around my own parents and my own sibling, then I shouldn't have to feel comfortable anymore with allowing them into my child's lives. So I had to make that change. And it was for the better. Because I'm really afraid if I continue doing the Christian thing, which, yes, I still consider myself a Christian, but how do I continue loving my parents like the Bible tells me so when my parents aren't even loving me properly? So I don't know what to do anymore, and it's just like God separated himself from Adam and Eve. It's the same in my situation as well. I don't know what else to do. I've done everything I could. I people pleased them. I let them have a relationship with my children. I saw that they had changed in ways for the better. They weren't abusive to their granddaughters, to their grandson. And I thought, this is the change that I've always wanted to see in them. And this is what I've always wanted for myself. I've always wanted to have parents that love me, and I saw that they loved my children, so I thought that was good enough. But then I had to take a step back from living in this fog that I thought was safe. And that safety is thinking my parents are Christian, that they love God, and if they love God, then they must love me. But I don't think they do. I honestly don't think they do. If they really love me, they would step in and realize that you've hurt me by lying to me and silencing me into submission. When you decided that I needed to have my medical records expunged and altered so that my sexual abuser could live in the United States free of prosecution. I don't appreciate having to sacrifice my rights as a human being to report my sexual abuse with hard copy evidence, my medical records. And I won't get into that in this video, but it is also damaging that my HIPAA rights were violated, and I was sexually abused, and that my rights as a donor-conceived person don't even exist. I never had the right to have my sperm donor's medical history. That's not fair. That's not fair for me. It's not fair for my children who need that information too. And I think we need more laws telling donor-conceived individuals This is getting hard. I've put it on like really high resistance today. We need more laws protecting donor-conceived people so that they'll be notified at an earlier age. If their parents are too much of a coward to tell the honest truth to their own child that they bought, then I think the government should be responsible from now on, because it's obviously creating a bigger mess than we all could have imagined. No one knew that there would be DNA test kits in 1988. No one knew. Who could predict? But now look at us. Everybody is finding out, and now everyone can share on the internet their feelings about how it feels to be donor conceived and why they're for it or against it. And I'm not saying that donor conception needs to be abolished, but there definitely needs to be laws informing those who are created using these means at an earlier age in life, not finding out through a DNA test. That is so cruel. What a cruel world we live in. But anyways, I'm going to end it here because it's already almost at my 25-minute mark, and there was a lot of glitchiness in this video, so I might come back and do the part 3. There's a lot of twists and turns in my trip to Europe, my unforgettable trip to Europe, and it's unfair that I wasn't told I was donor conceived, but rather that my parents, I mean, maybe they thought, allegedly, you know, I'm not saying that they did think this, but I'm saying, to me, it seems as though they were too coward to tell me, so instead they planned a trip to Europe, to specific countries, because that's where my donor is from. How did they have that information? You tell me. I don't know. But anyways, make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll be doing more live videos because working out is fun. Drink more water today, and just remember, this world is a better place because you're in it.